PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to PRConnectionsRadio.com, voice of new media, here on Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. And on this edition, we are going to be looking into the future, and we are going to be talking about the upcoming Four Nations Face-Off Tournament. And while it is a little bit away, and since we have some Vegas Golden Knights members that are supposed to be on the Four Nations Face-Off, what we're going to do on this episode is that we are going to go player by player and kind of give down what my prediction and my outlook is going to be when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights and Team USA, Team Canada, and Team Sweden. So this is going to be a real fun episode. Looking forward to the Four Nations Face-Off Tournament and the Vegas Golden Knights' impact on that tournament. Going to be so much fun to talk about, and we're going to do all of that here on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub, and we're doing all that in just one sec. Now, before we get into Team USA, Team Canada, and Team Sweden, I do want to very quickly say to everyone watching all around the world, go to our social media pages. We are on all major platforms. We have our YouTube channel, where we try to upload content every single day. We have our Facebook at Vegas Hockey Hub, where we try to upload all our clips and reels and stuff, like our practice sessions. We upload videos, put that on all our stuff as well. We have our Instagram at Vegas Hockey Hub, where we try to post pictures from events that we go to. And then we have our Twitter account at Vegas Hockey Hub, where we do live updates, and we actually tweet while Vegas Golden Knight games are going off. If there's anything interesting with the Henderson Silver Knights or the soon-to-be upcoming Tahoe Lake Monsters, we also talk about that as well on Twitter at Vegas Hockey Hub. And on our TikTok, we also upload reels and content from practice sessions and meetups and events that the Vegas Golden Knights hold throughout the year. So go to our social media content at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you want to hit the like button and subscribe, that would be a very good thing for us. So once again, at Vegas Hockey Hub. And I appreciate all the people on PR Connections Radio for helping us out and having us part of your network on PR Connections Radio. So definitely it's going to be a real good episode talking about the Four Nations Face-Off. And since we are in the United States of America, and, we're going to be, the USA, since we're going to be doing Team USA, we're going to start out with that as we're doing our Four Nations Face-Off Vegas Golden Knights edition. So let's get into this and talk about Team USA and the two representatives that are going to be representing the United States of America. Now, the main player that you are going to be talking about when it comes to Team USA, of course, that is the face of the franchise and the guy that has been helping lift the Vegas Golden Knights up ever since he got acquired from the Buffalo Sabres. And, of course, I am talking about number 9, Jack Eichel. And what's going to be so fascinating about Team USA is that the depth at center is insane to think about. As a matter of fact, there is an idea that Jack Eichel might be on the bottom 6 when it comes to Team USA because of how loaded they are at center. Not only do you have Austin Matthews, who has been consistently a top 5 player in all of the NHL, one of the best goal scorers in all of hockey, but you also have a rising star and a superstar in New Jersey in Jack Hughes, who is also playing at center. So when you really look at what Jack Eichel can provide, let's just say for argument's sake, you put Jack Eichel on the third line. He is the number 3 center on Team USA. Wow, that's insane to think about considering he's a top 15 player in the NHL. He'd be on the third line. If you put him there, the starting lineup and really the pieces you can move around would be insane to think about. Now, according to according to this website, and granted, I understand that things are going to change from here to now, but according to ESPN, they have their projections for the starting lineup for Team USA. That is the basis off of what I'm using for this video. According to this, Team USA, here is what the lines are going to be. Because the way that we see, Kyle Connor, Austin Matthews, and Matthew Tkachuk, that would be one heck of a line. Obviously, Kyle Connor's been amazing out there in Winnipeg, certain asset, someone who can bring some stability to that first line alongside a sniper and one of the best players in the game in Austin Matthews. And then Matthew Tkachuk is someone that not only brings some physicality and some mind games into the NHL, but also is one really good player. That's someone who can bring some good versatility to that first line in Team USA. So, yeah, Jack Eichel obviously would not be on that first line because of Austin Matthews. Line 2 is looking like Jack Hughes would be that second-line center. Now, obviously, there's been some people trying to make an argument that they could push him over to the wing, and they could have Jack Hughes play on the first or the second line as a winger and try to bring Jack Eichel up. But from this article that I am looking at, they currently would have Jack Hughes on that second line, and they would be alongside Jake Guentzel and would be Brady Tkachuk. So you would have a Tkachuk on the first line with Matthew, and then on the second line would be Brady Tkachuk. Jake Guentzel, one of the best all-around guys in the NHL, won that Stanley Cup out there in Pittsburgh, has been around a few teams now out there, going to be with Tampa Bay. So on the third line, there is some options there. All right, there are some players that you definitely would want to put in that middle six, but a elite goal scorer and one of the best snipers and someone that you could definitely have, but some versatility as well. And when it comes to Team USA, currently projected, Jack Eichel would be your third line center, which really just shows you the depth that you have with Team USA. And then his line mates, Matthew Boldy out there in Minnesota, young up-and-coming guy. In fact, I believe he is the youngest guy on this roster for Team USA. And Matthew Boldy would be someone that would be able to bring some good synergy onto that third line out there when it comes to Team USA. You team him up with Jack Eichel. And then a guy like Chris Kreider would be someone that you could have on that Team USA who does have some good tools in his skill set that you would be able to team up with Jack Eichel. So, Matthew Boldy, Chris Kreider, and Jack Eichel seems like that third line is what it would end up being. Now, I do want to mention that you do have some players out there that could be options when it comes to Team USA. JT Miller, Dylan Larkin. I know Tage Thompson's done very well out there at out there in the past, out there in Buffalo. Obviously, there are some well-deserved options that are going to get looked at with Team USA. But with Jack Eichel being the third best center coming out of USA, it really shows you how skilled Team USA is. And more importantly, the fact that Jack Eichel could be on a team that wins the entire Four Nations. After all, we're going to talk about his teammate who's going to be on the defensive side in just a second. But for Jack Eichel to be on the third pairing, just behind Matthews and just behind Hughes, it really shows you that Team USA is going to be ready for the Four Nations face-off, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. But just to go over the lines one more time, on line 1, this is all projected now. On line 1, Kyle Connor, Austin Matthews, and Matthew Tkachuk. Line 2 would be Jake Guentzel, Jack Hughes, and Brady Tkachuk. And then on that third line, you'd have, of course, Vegas Golden Knights, Jack Eichel, and then Chris Kreider and Matthew Boldy would be on there as well. So I think with Jack Eichel, this is going to be a really good tournament. We're going to see him definitely light up the lamp at least once in this tournament, and we're going to see him be a valiant effort for Team USA when it comes to Four Nations face-off. Now, defensively, Noah Hanifin is going to be a part of this team. And I understand that there are going to be some very good players defensively on Team USA that are going to be on this roster. I'm not saying that Noah Hannafin is going to be the first defensive pairing. I'm not even going to make an argument that he is going to be a lock for second defensive pairing. However, he should be at least on the third defensive pairing. And back to this list, that was the projected lineup for the Four Nations face-off. That is where they currently have Noah Hannafin on the projected list. In fact, the defensive pairings are listed as like this. So defensively, having Quinn Hughes and Adam Fox on that first defensive pairing is going to be a very good positive for Team USA. The fact that you have a guy who, you know, when you have someone defensively, Norris Trophy winner, and then you have someone defensively, Norris Trophy winner, you're going to have two of the top 5 defensemen in the NHL that just so happen to be on that first line for Team USA. And, you know, when it comes to the pairings and everything like that, Quinn Hughes, obviously Jack Hughes on the forward line, the Quinn Hughes on the defensive line. Unfortunately, Luke Hughes just missed the cut just a little bit. But when it comes to Adam Fox, we know what he can do out there with the New York Rangers. So it's going to be fun to see him be on that same situation with a guy like Quinn Hughes. Now, defensive pairing 2, we could see a situation where, you know, you have a situation where Charlie McAvoy out there from the Boston Bruins and then Slavin out there with the Carolina Hurricanes. And these are going to be two very sturdy defensemen. And then when it comes to Noah Hannafin, Zach Werenski out there at the Columbus Blue Jackets, he has been a durable defenseman over the last couple of years when he is not injured. And then Noah Hannafin, we know what he did out there with the Calgary Flames, then the Carolina Hurricanes, and now the Vegas Golden Knights organization. And for Noah Hannafin, his skill set and everything that he has and he's going to bring to the table, I really like what we are going to see from Noah Hannafin. Also, besides, his defensive pairing mate is going to be in this tournament as well, just not with Team USA. We'll talk about him in just a little bit. But overall, Team USA, when it comes to the defensive pairings, having a Noah Hannafin be on that third defensive pairing and teaming him up with someone like Zachary Werenski is going to be a very good option for Team USA. Obviously, there could be some guys that are going to maybe be bumped or someone that could get injured and maybe be a replacement or something like that. Of course, Brock Faber out there in the Minnesota Wild is a young, up-and-coming guy that defensively Team USA is going to want on that team, is going to have to use him at some point. But Noah Hannafin and Zachary Werenski would be what the projected was going to be for Team USA. So overall, Team USA, Connor Hellebuck and Jake Ottinger is going to be two of the most elite goaltenders in the NHL. In fact, goaltending-wise, Team USA has this on lock because they have the best goaltending department in the entire tournament. Defensively, I like what we're going to see from Hughes, Fox, McAvoy, Hannafin. Some solid depth defensively for Team USA. Not the best, however, but some solid depth defensively. And then on the forward side, I will say at the center position, they are loaded. They are 4 deep at the center spot. And then on the wings, you do have some good guys there. I think Kyle Connor and the 2 Kachucks are going to pan out. JT Miller moving him over from the center to the wing for this tournament purposes. That's going to be good for Team USA. So I just wanted to quickly go over the Four Nations face-off. This is the Team USA side. Jack Eichel and Noah Hannafin going to be on that Team USA. And I am biased, obviously, Vegas Hockey Hub. We are based in Las Vegas, Nevada, but going to be rooting for Team USA to win this tournament. So, however, let's get over to the other side and let's talk about the main rival and the team that is most likely going to compete head-to-head with Team USA in this tournament. And we're talking about Team Canada. Now, when it comes to Team Canada, defensively, it is going to be very interesting to see how everything lines up and how the pairings go with Team Canada. But the one member that should be a lock and someone that is going to be on that starting lineup, regardless of where it is going to be, is Shea Theodore. Now, offensively, anyone who's watched Vegas Golden Knights games and anyone who has seen his work, regardless if it's regular season or postseason, will tell you that he is one of the best offensive-minded defensemen in the NHL. Shea Theodore's ability to get the puck and distribute it and to get it to all the people on his line mates. And when it comes to the power play, penalty kill, when it comes to that situation, Shea Theodore is without a doubt one of the best defensemen. Him being on Team Canada is a no-brainer. Now, depending on who he pairs up with is going to be the main question. And when it comes to defensive pairings for Team Canada, it is projected to look like this. So the pairings are going to be as follows. So having a defenseman like Cale Makar and Josh Morrissey, that is going to be your two best defensemen out there with Team Canada. So when it comes to first defensive pairing, there is no doubt in my mind you're going to see Cale Makar and you're going to see Josh Morrissey. You have to team those up when it comes to the pairing situation and having your two best guys out there. Now, defensive pairing 2 is where you are going to see a Vegas Golden Knight be out there for Team Canada, and it is where Shea Theodore is going to be placed. He is a second defensive pairing guy. Granted, he's a second defensive pairing for the Vegas Golden Knights as well. We have seen what it is with Brayden McNabb over the years. And then Colton Parayko out there at the St. Louis Blues. He is someone that is a reliable, durable defenseman. I like what you see from him out there in St. Louis. So it only makes sense, and it's very serviceable to see a pairing similar to that. Now, there could be the option, and I am going to put this out here, that his pairing mate could be the Vegas Golden Knight and Alex Pietrangelo. There has been some people who have said that they could try to pair up teammates, but I'm actually going to say I actually believe what's going to happen is that the third defensive pairing is going to be Alex Pietrangelo and Devin Taves from the Colorado Avalanche. I actually see that being the projection, just like it is currently. Now, for Team Canada, if it is the pairings of the teammates, that would end up being Devin Taves and Cale Makar. That'd be Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore. And then, St. Louis Blues, Colton Parayko, Philadelphia Flyers with Travis Senheim. And then you also have Josh Morrissey out there in Winnipeg. So the pairing connection sounds good in principle, but there just isn't enough to really connect everybody. So for Team Canada, defensive pairings is going to be Makar and Morrissey. And then we'll see Theodore and Parayko. They'll be together. And then Alex Pietrangelo. And you will also see Devin Taves as well. And overall, in terms of depth, Team Canada does have the edge defensively. As a matter of fact, I think defensively, Team Canada has the best in terms of the quality of defensemen in terms of this tournament. The four nations defensively, I'm going with Team Canada. Goaltending, like I alluded to before, that is where Team USA is going to excel in terms of goaltending, having two of the top three goaltenders in the NHL being on that end. So for Pietrangelo and for Theodore on that defensive side, Team Canada is going to do its thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it does defensively. Also, as a hockey fan, I really want to see a Morrissey and Makar pairing just to see how well they would team up with Team Canada. Now, moving over to the goaltending side of it, because there is a lot of people who are wondering about the goaltending. Jordan Binnington, Stanley Cup champion. We are seeing, a lot of reports about him being the starting goaltender. But the backup goaltender looks like Aiden Hill is going to fit that slot. Now, there is, always some possibility of worst case scenario. He's either a healthy scratch, or if injuries pile up, he's left off entirely. But let's just say for best case scenario, Aiden Hill is on the roster. He's on the tournament. He's fully healthy come February. I am expecting that Aiden Hill will be on this team. He will be suiting up. And what I'm really curious about is how it is going to play out when it comes to Team Canada. But I will say from a backup perspective, Binnington being the starter and Aiden Hill being the backup, that is what it's going to look like for Team Canada. And overall, Logan Thompson, Washington Capitals, if anything does happen, if any push comes to shove in terms of injuries, I really could see Logan Thompson being either a healthy scratch or just left off the tournament entirely. Granted, I understand that Logan Thompson being with the Washington Capitals now, unfortunately being in Washington instead of Vegas, but for Team Canada, Shea Theodore, Alex Pietrangelo in the second and third defensive pairing, but the backup goaltender / healthy scratch will end up being Aiden Hill. I really do not expect him to be the starting goaltender because of Jordan Binnington really being in that role out there in St. Louis. Now, when it comes to Team Canada, I have left one player for last. Not only is he the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights organization, but when it comes to the lines, the projected lines for Team Canada, it's going to be really interesting to see who he gets paired up with, because I have no doubt in my mind that he is going to be a future Hall of Famer, and going to be really curious to see what happens there. But Mark Stone, his place on Team Canada, now obviously if injuries happen, things can change. Obviously, there's some stuff that's going to happen between then and now, but for argument's sake, let's say that number 61, the captain of the Vegas Golden Knights, he is 100% healthy, ready to go, and he will be on Team Canada. Now, him being placed on a certain line will be fascinating to watch. Now, line one, once again, these are all projections. Stuff can change from here to now. But on line one, you're going to have Connor McDavid, the best player in the world. You will have Mitch Marner, who has been a solid number 2 throughout his entire career. And then you will end up having Sam Reinhart out there at the Florida Panthers. We just saw a couple of months ago how great he has been over the last couple of years as a Stanley Cup champion out there in Florida. So McDavid, Marner, and Reinhart, that is a very well number 1 line in this tournament. And then forward line 2, you're going to have Nathan McKinnon, the guy who is, winning trophies and racking up awards. He'll be on that center for line 2. And then Brad Marchand on that second line, someone who is not only a menace to society for everyone outside the Boston Bruins, but if you watch him in Boston, he is a contributor and one of the best in the NHL. And then you have Travis Konecny out there with the Philadelphia Flyers, someone who is dependable, a real reliable guy who will be on that top 6 out there in Canada. I have not said Mark Stone's name yet because, according to projected, he would be on the third line alongside number 87 and a first ballot Hall of Famer when that time comes in Sidney Crosby. And then he will have a younger contributor, a Stanley Cup champion, in Brandon Hagel on that line. So, I mean, really talking about hockey and breaking it down, a third line with Sidney Crosby, Brandon Hagel, and Mark Stone, that would be one of the best in this tournament in terms of a bottom 6 line. I mean, when you compare this line to what it's going to be on Team USA, I mean, Jack Eichel being on that third line with Team USA alongside Matthew Boldy and Chris Kreider. So, I mean, if you tell me in the comment section down below, which one sounds better to you? Crosby, Hagel, and Stone, or Eichel, Boldy, and Kreider? So that's kind of an interesting comparison there in terms of lines. And then on the fourth line for Team Canada, obviously there's going to be some names that are going to have to be tossed out there. I do think that someone like a Braden Point will be on this team regardless of that. But I think fourth line, because of the center depth, he will be on there. But yeah, so for Team Canada, Mark Stone being on that third line. And man, as a hockey fan, watching him play with a Sidney Crosby, that would be fun to watch. So yeah, for Team Canada, those are the lines once again, according to projections. McDavid, Marner, and Reinhart. McKinnon, Marchand, Travis Konecny, and then you have Mark Stone with Sidney Crosby and Brandon Hagel. Now, with about 5 minutes left, we went over Team USA, we went over Team Canada, but we do have one player left, and that is on Team Sweden. So let's cover that very quick. And when it comes to Team Sweden, looking at Wild Bill, William Karlsson, and it's going to be really interesting because similar to Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, we are going to have a Vegas Golden Knight on line 3. So every forward projected to be on the third line. Mark Stone for Team Canada, Jack Eichel for Team USA, and even William Karlsson for Sweden supposed to be on the third line. Now, when it comes to Team Sweden, I'm going to mention the top 3 lines. Fourth line, obviously, stuff is going to change. But when it comes to top 3 lines, on line 1, you're going to have Elias Pettersson. You're going to have Jesper Bratt. And then you're going to have William Nylander. So kind of interesting how for the Toronto Maple Leafs, kind of the opposite effect. You're going to have Mitch Marner on line 1, Austin Matthews on line 1, and William Nylander on line 1 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. On line 2, you're going to have Philippe Forsberg, Mika Zibanejad, and Lucas Raymond out there for Team Sweden. And then on the third line, you're going to have a Pacific Division all third line, as you're going to have Adrian Kemp, you're going to have Victor Arvidsson, and William Karlsson. So that's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Now, because of the amount of centers that Team Sweden has, they're going to move some of them over to the wing. I kind of question if William Karlsson is going to have to be a wing or a center for Team Sweden, considering that both of the guys that are on that line can also be optioned over to a forward or to a wing or a center. But for William Karlsson to be on the third line for Team Sweden, going to be interesting to see what happens there, but I think that he will do a serviceable job. Now, when it comes to the scoring side of it, you're really not going to see a lot of, great goal scoring on the bottom 6 out there for Team Sweden. But that top 9 is going to be contributing for sure. You're going to see a bunch of assists and points racking up for Team Sweden, but you're not going to see a solidified number 1 goal scorer on that team for Team Sweden. And since we're talking about the Four Nations tournament, I do want to mention that for Team Finland, there's going to be none from the Vegas Golden Knights. I will be heavily shocked if there is anyone from Finland, considering the lack of Finns that we do have on the Vegas Golden Knights organization. And for anyone asking about Team Russia, what's going to happen there? Well, simply put, due to politics, there is going to be no Team Russia in the Four Nations face-off tournament. It's just going to be Team Canada, Team USA, Team Finland, and Team Sweden. And since we got about 2 minutes left, let me give my prediction for what I see happening in this tournament. I actually am going to kind of give you what I think is going to happen. Now, in 4th place, I am going to go with this team right here. So when it comes to Finland, I understand that you have to have the 4 team nations. There are some really good players on Finland, but in terms of overall depth, I'm going to put them at the bottom. So at 4th place will be in Finland. And then the bronze medal out there in 3rd, I'm going to be having to go with Sweden. Now, the goaltending and everything, I'm kind of looking at, trying to see what the situation is there. Defensively, you're going to have, 1 or 2 really good defensemen. The forwards, I like the top 9, but it just isn't going to be enough to surpass the 1st and 2nd place team. And then in the championship game, Canada and USA is going to be the projected. And let's just be honest, I think most people are going to want to see that regardless if it's at the Bell Center in Montreal or if it's going to be at the TD Garden in Boston. But Canada versus USA, and I think a lot of people, including myself, remember the iconic 2010 game that happened between USA and Canada. That is one of the best games I have ever seen. And I'm going to be very controversial here, but even though I'm rooting for them to win it, I'm going to say that Team USA, despite the excellent goaltending, they are going to come up just a bit short. Probably going to be a 3-2 final, some kind of that situation. But in 2nd place will be Team USA. And then winning the entire tournament and having arguably one of the best starting lines in all of hockey, you're going to have Canada winning this Four Nations face-off tournament. And just wanted to very quickly do my prediction here. Like I said, it's, very far away. I think that it's going to be coming up. But I wanted to just talk about the Vegas Golden Knights edition, talking about who they have in this tournament and the projected lines and everything like that. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rickelli. And until next time, go Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.